Hey guys, Kiwi here, warning of spoilers for Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul up to Season 6, Episode 4. In this video, I'll be breaking down discussing what little we know of Howard's family and how they could play a role in the rest of Season 6. Like the video if you end up enjoying it, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter for more Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad updates, and if you really enjoy what I do here, maybe even consider checking out my Patreon to help support the channel financially. With that being said, let's jump into the breakdown.
At home, things are more or less the same. It's not any worse. I guess I should be grateful for that.
Episode 604 starts with Howard going to therapy while Jimmy steals his car to pull off another scheme. But the Wendy scheme isn't what we'll be focusing on today, although I've already done a discussion video on that if you haven't seen it already. Today we'll be discussing some key pieces of dialogue that Howard says at therapy. He says that at home, things are more or less the same. He adds by saying that things aren't worse and that he should be grateful for it. Here we get the bomb drop that Howard has a wife and her name is Cheryl. I assume that Howard has worn his wedding ring in other previous episodes too, but it never dawned on me that he'd have a wife or family.
You tried what we discussed?
Yes, I did. But Cheryl still won't talk about anything important.
This is the first we're hearing of his wife Cheryl, and it makes me wonder if she'll play a larger role in later episodes. The same thing kinda happened with Chuck, where we were just teased Rebecca's name on some piano sheet music before seeing her in a flashback the next episode, and then again in Season 3. Now to be fair, Chuck and Rebecca were broken up, but Howard still seems to be very much together with Cheryl. It makes me wonder why we never saw Cheryl poking her head out last season with Howard when Jimmy was throwing bowling balls into his car. This also makes the idea of Howard having a fake drug and sex worker problem even worse, as Jimmy and Kim are implicating that Howard is committing adultery.
It's like we're deadlocked.
Howard says that his relationship with Cheryl is deadlocked. The therapist asks Howard if he tried doing what they discussed, and Howard says that he tried, but Cheryl won't talk about anything important. So it sounds like his personal life at home isn't good, but it isn't bad, and he's thinking of it as a glass half full situation instead of glass half empty. Notice the way that the show creators drop these little hints of characters' past. It's always during small talk or something that would initially seem like filler, or maybe something you don't really need to pay attention to. Take Kim's past for example. We learn about her past through conversations with Mr. Acker in Season 5, along with her interview with Rich. It's always moments that seemingly have little significance that actually hold key dialogue. They don't hype it up or make you feel like they're key moments. They just casually drop info during situations where a casual viewer might miss it. I think this is really important because now we know that Jimmy and Kim won't only be tearing Howard down, but they could be ruining an already struggling marriage. I don't think it's a coincidence that we learn about Howard's wife for the first time in the same episode that Jimmy and Kim frame him for being with a sex worker in front of Cliff. I assume that Cliff knows that he has a wife. This also adds bigger implications due to Cliff possibly thinking that the sex workers who interrupted Cliff and Howard's lunch in Season 5 really could have known him. Of course we know that this is all just Jimmy and Kim trying to character assassinate Howard, but Cliff doesn't know that, and neither does Howard's wife. Even if Howard could try and explain the situation, who knows if they'll believe him. This could be the final straw that causes Howard's wife to leave him. If Howard loses his career and his family, he might not have anything left, so he could end up offing himself due to the depression that he's already barely managing to control ever since Chuck died, who he could have seen as a father figure. Now speaking of father figures, let's discuss what we know about Howard's mysterious father, including some new details from this episode.
I did have a dream, so I look over the old man's ticket, and it's clearly an international flight. So we search for his gate number, but all the signs are in a language I can't read.
So while Howard is talking to his therapist, he changes the subject from his wife Cheryl to talking about having a dream. The camera cuts away to Jimmy dressed up as Howard for a moment, making you think that we're gonna have a dream sequence or something until it's revealed that it's actually Jimmy. The camera then cuts back to Howard in therapy still, and I assume he's explaining his dream. He says that he was checking over the old man's plane ticket and that it was an international flight. So he's trying to help, but he says that all the signs are in a language he can't read. By old man, I assume that Howard is talking about his father. Howard's dad has been a huge mystery throughout Better Call Saul, considering that his dad is the other H in HHM. Back in Season 2, we heard Howard tell Kim that he's jealous of her starting a practice on her own because he once wanted to do the same thing, until his dad convinced him to come work with him and to add another H to the logo. So I assume that HHM was just called Hamlin and McGill before Howard joined, making it Hamlin, Hamlin and McGill. Howard's dad and Chuck were colleagues who founded HHM back when it was just Hamlin and McGill, and they created the success of HHM all on their own, which is also why Howard looked up to Chuck so much, being his father's friend and partner. So throughout the show, it's been a pretty huge question on what the deal is with Howard's father. Is he retired? Did he quit? Or did he pass away somehow? Assuming he's around the same age as Chuck, I don't think he would have been retired yet, as Chuck was still willing to work even with his medical condition. This leads me to believe that Howard's dad might have died somehow. Howard seems to think that this dream has significance, so maybe he's explaining this dream to his therapist because he dreamt about his dead father. Could his father have died in a plane crash, explaining why that's the scenario that Howard dreamt about? Or is there something else to the story? Howard may have also been connected to Chuck, looking up to him as a father figure since his own father was no longer in the picture. Let me know what you think about Howard's dad in the comments below, along with if we'll see Howard's wife in the future. I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, and if you're new to the channel or just haven't yet already, subscribe and hit that bell notification to stay updated on when I post new content on Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad. I thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.